en prévision de cette nouvelle frontière. La douane vous accompagne. Franchissons le Brexit ensemble.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Hervé Matevet. I'm the French Customs Attaché, and I'm here today with Caroline de Saussure, who is the French Customs Brexit Project Manager. And we're here today to try to present you the border, the French border of the EU after the Brexit for the 1st of January. We have decided to do this webinar in English. So it's a first for the French customs. So please apologize for the mistake and maybe the time we can take to find some words sometimes. But we'll try to do the presentation. It will be first a global presentation of the SI Brexit, and then we'll have some few case studies to present you. And we'll take, of course, some question at the end. By the way, the question, you can start to ask the question on the chat within the webinar. But first of all, I think that our General Director have a message. So Caroline, please.
Yes, thank you, Hervé. Good afternoon to everyone, and thank you to be here with us today. That's right, our General Directorate wasn't able to be there with us, but the Brexit subject is a very important issue for her, and she really wanted to address you some words before we start to present you the smart border and the French preparation. So I think we'll begin listening to her, and then we'll go with our presentation.
Perfect.
Ladies and Specificities of the cross-channel border between the United Kingdom and France include the following. The volume of flows, more than 30 million passengers a year, nearly 5 million trucks and as many light vehicles. 80% of road traffic flows between Europe and the UK pass through France. The frequency of traffic rotation in the Hauts-de-France region, one truck through the tunnel every 3 minutes. Very short crossing time from 35 minutes to an hour. In fact, Brexit has been a major challenge for all government departments for the past 3 years, particularly for the French customs, since it involves building a dematerialized border with a third country, enabling custom formality to be re-established in compliance with European law while preserving the fluidity of traffic and the economic model of the ports and tunnels. The smart border. For months, customs has been working with its partner to ensure that the sequence of earth and customs control at the border is carried out in the best possible orchestrated logistics sequences. For months now, dialogue has been underway with infrastructure managers and cross-channel transport companies, in particular to build the smart border and contribute to the adaptation of infrastructures for receiving flows of people or goods at the new entry points to the Union's territory. This frontier is based on an unprecedented information system and advanced automation. But however smart it may be, the system will only be effective if all the economic players who use it are empowered and involved and must be able to anticipate border control processes. Indeed, for operators and administration, the new Brexit border poses the challenge of better border crossing fluidity. To meet this challenge, the key word is anticipate your custom formalities. It will therefore be crucial to anticipate your custom clearance operation as far in advance as possible and to encourage the use of the transit procedure, which avoids stop at the border. All companies must be prepared to meet this challenge. To guarantee the customs processing capacity for these flows, Customs has recruited 700 officers and adapted its structure not only at the Channel and North Sea border, but also in all airports and train stations handling goods and passengers from the United Kingdom. Customs adapted its infrastructure to absorb the increase in flows subject to formality and tested Brexit information system using blank runs to rehearse and prepare the teams. Customs has also updated its custom guide for preparing companies for Brexit in French and English, which you can read on the website and which will explain in an operational manner the various steps to be taken in view of the new formalities. It is time to let Caroline de Saussure, Brexit Project Manager, and Hervé Matevet, French Embassy Custom Attaché in London, speak. Thank you for your attention and I wish you an excellent webinar.
Thank you. So we are back live. First, sorry, because it seemed that there was a kind of a technical issue during the broadcast of the video from our channel director. So if you had any trouble to watching it, you can find it on our website and on YouTube channel of the French Customs. So now it's done, we can start to discuss the border. So let's get started.
Okay, thank you, Hervé. First of all, we thought that it would be nice to present the whole picture of the smart border and the main principles. And so first, I would like to present the whole context in which we had to work. As our General Directorate said, this border is very specific, and this is the reason why we had to develop something special and new to cross the border between the north of France and the south of England.
But so why is it so unique?
Actually, maybe it's important to give some figures. The fact is at that point since 1993. And at that time, we had only around 1 million trucks crossing each year. And at that time, Eurotunnel didn't exist. It was opened in 1994. And the fact is today, we are now around 5 million trucks crossing each year. So the volume is very important, and this increase actually is linked to the fluidity of the passage. And so this is why it is very specific first. And maybe the main reason is also that on that border, the crossing is very, very short. If you take the shuttle on the Eurotunnel, it takes only 35 minutes to cross. And with the ferry between Calais and Dover, or between Dunkirk and Dover, it's only 2 hours. And for this reason, because it's very, very short, the driver of the truck cross with their truck. And that is very specific at that point.
Okay, and so what are the differences between, when you say the driver is driving with the truck, so what is the difference between accompanied lorries and unaccompanied one?
The fact is, today, if the driver is with his truck in the ferry or in the shuttle, at the arrival on the other side, he just has to come back to his lorry, and he makes himself the disembarking of the lorry from the boat or from the shuttle, and he doesn't have to stop. There is nothing, no formality. And you know, when the trailer are not accompanied, it's different, because you have one first driver who brings the trailer at the port, and so you have to wait to the trailer to be brought into the boat. And this is the same at the arrival. So there is time, there is a delay during when you can make some formalities if needed. In the north of France, it doesn't exist. There is no stop. So today, there is no moment when it is possible to make the formalities. And so this is the reason why this border is very specific. Actually, we have the impression it's a maritime border, but in reality, it's closer to a road border.
Okay. Maybe a quick question. We're talking about the short strait, but is the system will be also available on other ports?
Actually, we worked with all the ports and the tunnel, of course, which have linked with the south of England. So there are 9 sites you can see on this map in which the smart border will be implemented. So yes, it will be the same system, the same process in each port and at the tunnel.
Okay, so a short question to finish, maybe. We see this system. This system will be free of charge?
Yes, totally free of charge. Actually, the new system, it's important to expose it because it's something new and a new process, but the users will actually use in reality the IT system which already exists and which are already free. So no new cost for to cross the smart border.
Okay, perfect. So taking into account what you said about the specificity of this border and especially the need of speed for all the processes, can you maybe now explain a bit about how you managed to develop an IT system?
Yes, of course. So on that slide, you can see actually the goals we decided to deal with. And the fact is, of course, the first thing was to permit the re-establishment of the customs formalities according to the European regulations and especially to the Union Customs Code. But the fact is, as we said, this the economic model of this port of the tunnel, it's very specific, and it was very important to find a way to maintain the fluidity. So maybe it's important to remind to everybody that 80% of the truck which cross the channel at that point are not coming from France or are not going to France. So actually, it's a very important point for all the European Union and all the member states. So the fact is, how did we work to do that? We worked with what exists, with what existed already, actually. Yeah. And the fact is, I said there is no stop today at the disembarking, but the fact is, before to embark, of course, the truck has to wait and to make some stop. First, because he has to pay the crossing, logical. And then there are some immigration check and safety check. So we knew that before the embarking, there is some time during which we can maybe do something. And so we worked, of course, with the ferry companies and the Eurotunnel and the ports. And we learned that they already took the truck plates, the immatriculation plates of the lorries. And so we had the idea that we can use the stops before the crossing to match the customs formalities with the plates, and to follow the truck during the crossing with this information, with this plate. And so to do that, of course, the first thing is to anticipate the customs formalities. This is the reason why the first principle of the smart border, and maybe the most important one, is the anticipation of customs formalities before the embarking. And then, of course, the identification, as I said, and then the automation, because the purpose is to use the time we have before the moment when the truck has to leave the port, before the arrival, to use that time to make our treatment, our risk analysis automatically, and to send the right message to the IT system, all of that automatically to win time. And so for that, we develop the IC Brexit to make that possible.
Okay, thank you so much, Caroline. So just maybe to summarize, I think the three principles: anticipation of the formalities, identification of the means of transport, and the automation of the flow of the goods at the border. So that's the principle. Let's now maybe look a bit more in details of the processes.
Yes, of course.
So if we can see the slide, yeah. Just to introduce you to the slide, because it's a lot of information in a single one. At the top of the slide, you will see the importation to the EU, into France in particular, from the UK on the left to France and the EU on the right. And on the bottom of the screen, you will see the export procedure from France on the right to the UK on the left. So let's start with the step number one, Caroline.
Yes, for the import flow. So the fact is, you can see the several steps I mentioned already before the embarking. And the first one, so the step one on the slide, is the ticketing, the moment when the driver has to pay for the crossing. And so this is at that moment that we will match the customs information and the truck plate numbers. Okay. So the fact is, at that moment, the customs formalities must have been done. And normally, the driver has a barcode with him, because on the customs formality, import declaration, transit declaration, you have a barcode. And so the agent of the company, of the tunnel, will ask this barcode to the driver. And he will ask some other questions. We will see that more in details after, because there is some information we can get from the customs declaration. And so we will receive those information in IC Brexit. Then you have other steps, controller, immigration control, safety control, and etc. And when the truck is in the boat or in the shuttle and there is no turning back possible, we will receive a new message saying to us, to IC Brexit actually, okay, this lorry is in this ferry or in this shuttle. And so at that moment, we will start the risk analysis. We will ask all our IT system in which we have some information to get to see if everything is to do that. So we will ask, of course, our system for custom declaration, or we will ask NCTS for the transit. But we'll also check in ICS if the declaration for safety and security has been made. And we'll also ask Traces, which is an IT European system for the SPS good. But I think we will have the opportunity to come back later. And so what is important to say is that just before the arrival, the risk analysis is made, and we will give the information to the driver if he has to stop or not.
And how we will do that?
The fact is, there is a very little difference between the ferry and the shuttle. For the ferry, actually, there is some screen in the driver lounges. And on that screen, the driver will see, okay, my number plate, okay, it's orange or it's green. Orange meaning you have to stop, green meaning you have to, you can go and leave the port without any stop. For the tunnel, it's quite the same. The fact is only the screen is after the disembarking, before the lorry can leave the site, but it's the same idea of a big screen with a big arrow in orange or in green and the number plate.
Okay, so why did you said orange? Why orange? Because I mean, when we go to an airport, it's normally green or red. So why
yes, you're right. It was on purpose. We decided to use orange because actually red often means control. And the fact is, the lorry which will be invited to take the orange lines may stop for a control, but sometimes it will be for another formalities and not for a control, because you know that there is some customs formalities for which you still have paper to web stamp. For example, we can also think to the tier carnet or the ATA carnet. And for this procedure, it's mandatory for the operator and for the customs to web stamp the carnet. So orange, because it's not always a check.
Clear. Can we now see maybe the export?
Yes, actually for the export flow, it's quite the same process, maybe a little more simple because for that flow, we don't have to deal with what happened on the next side. So the fact is the driver will arrive at the port and he will be asked by the company agent or the shuttle agent if he has a barcode. And so the barcode will be scanned, and the plate number also will be taken by the IT system of the tunnel or of the ferry company. And all those information will be sent to IC Brexit. And again, the risk analysis just before the embarking, but for the exits, at that point, there is less things to check, so it's very quick. And then we will receive a message from the ferry company or the tunnel saying it's okay, the ferry or the shuttle has left the EU territory, and so we will be able to clear the export procedure in the European system ECS to prove that the exit is done.
Perfect, perfect. On the slide also we can see a step 0 with logistic envelope. I think it's covering, so maybe Caroline, you can say some word about what.
Yes, it's very important. On that slide, we see the process itself on the port, but of course, we said that the very important point is anticipation. So, of course, there are a lot of things which must be done before. Of course, the operator, the declarant, has to prepare its customs formalities, so import in France or transit. And for all the people listening to us today, I think the transit procedure is the better one if you don't stop in France and you go further in Europe. For sure. So this is the first point, of course. But you also have to make some safety and security declarations. So the ENS, Entry Summary Declaration for Safety and Security Reasons. So we will come back on that later. And for the SPS good, so the goods which are submitted to sanitary, phytosanitary, or veterinary check, you have to prepare your pre-notification in traces. It's very important because it's what which allow the services, the French services for that the SPS control to prepare the control and to do it the quicker possible, because that kind of goods must be checked at the first point of entry. So we have to do that just when the good arrives. And if everything is done before, it's much easier. And this information, this pre-notification, will ask the operator to put the number in the transit declaration. So we will make a link between the customs formalities and the SPS formalities, and in order to deal with everything in the same process. So it's a very important point. And maybe just to finish on the step 0, why 0? Because it's before, yes, and also because it's not mandatory. The logistic envelope is a functionality we offer to operator to facilitate the process. When you have several declarations for one truck, you can group yes, you can go on. Thank you. Actually, yes, when you have several declarations for one truck, you can group those declarations in one envelope. In that way, you have the driver has only one barcode, so it's easier for him. It prevents him to forget a barcode. I don't know if he has 20 barcode to scan. It's easier with one barcode and the envelope. And of course, it goes faster in that way.
For sure, for sure. How many declarations can be put into one envelope?
Oh, actually, you can go to 100 without problem. So it's very, there is no problem with that.
Perfect. And where do we find this system?
Oh, actually, this system is available on the French customs website. Okay. So there is no need for authentication or register before. You just go on the website with a computer or with a smartphone, yep, and it's okay. And you can also modify the envelope you created. You just have, of course, to note the number given, yep, when you created it for the first time, and after it works.
Perfect. So of course, simple. This system will be only available from the 1st of January because it's for the Brexit. But as is mentioned on the slide, and it will be something that you will receive drivers, but also for all the stakeholders on the process, I mean, the importer, the exporter, to get used to this system, because it's a system which will be something which will make the crossing much more quicker, because instead of barcoding a lot of scanning a lot of barcodes, it will be only one grouping everything. So we see that it's something which is very useful for the driver, and the driver will have also a real role. And maybe we discussed about that a bit earlier. We have to go back to the kind of the question that the driver may be asked at the border.
Yes, you're right. It's very important because, as you said, the driver will have a very important role on the process when he'll be asked to enter the different question at the moment of the pairing, when the company agent will match the plate number with the customs information. So on that slide, you can see the question the driver will be asked. And the fact is, as I said, there are some questions because everything can't be learned with the customs declaration. The first thing, very important maybe to say, is that of course the lorry can be empty. We know that there are maybe between 20 and 30% of the trucks coming back from the UK which are empty. So of course, for an empty truck, there is no customs formalities. So it's a very important point we have to know. And I mentioned the tier carnet and the ATA carnet and the SPS good. So it's important the driver know that he will be asked those questions. And of course, the most important is that he has the answer before to arrive on the port. I think this leaflet actually is available on our website in 9 languages. I think it's something all the drivers who will have to cross the channel by the short strait should have with them in their languages, and always with them in the truck. I think it could be a good advice.
Absolutely, Caroline. And there are, in fact, 2 flyers which can be found on the French website. There is one which is a bit more generic, but for the driver, once again, it's important to note and to highlight that the driver will have also an important role to the start borders. So there is a kind of a small memo of the different steps. And as you just mentioned, this brochure is available in 9 languages. So it's good to print them and to give them to the driver, and especially to involve the driver. So for the customs broker, for the exporter, it's important to talk to your driver, because your driver must know the answer of those questions. So that's something which is really important. There is also some few videos on our website which detail the kind of different steps that the driver will find at the border. So please refer to the website. So we discussed about the driver and the kind of the role that it's got, but I think it's not the only one. There is a lot of stakeholders in all the processes which are involved. So maybe we can quickly see what are the roles of the others.
Yeah, of course. And of course, the driver must have the answers, but someone needs to give them to
Absolutely.
him. So the fact is, it's not really possible to give all the situation possible, because in the logistic chain, in the commercial chain, when you export or import product, when you sell or buy product between the EU and a third country, actually there are a lot of different combinations possible. And so you have, of course, a company which buy or sell something, but according to the situation, maybe this company will make itself the customs formalities. Maybe this company will use the services of a custom broker. Maybe the company or the custom broker has its own trucks.
Logistics, the fleet. Yeah.
Yes, and maybe they will ask for the services of a third company. Yeah. Okay, so it's you have different role actually on the screen. The importer, the exporter, the declarant, meaning the one who does actually the customs formalities, of course the shipper, the haulier and the driver, of course. But there are roles. Sometimes the same person will have the same roles, and sometimes not. So which is very important is to prepare and to realize that all the process must be analyzed before the trip and the crossing.
Anticipation.
And yes, anticipation again. And the information must be shared between all the stakeholders and all the partners. And so this is the very important point for all the economic operators who listen to us today. You have to see which is your process today. How do you send your product to the UK, or how do you receive them? And so how will you prepare with all your partner?
Absolutely, thank you, Claire, Caroline. I think it's important this because I think the communication in between all the stakeholders, all the different economic operators is very important, and especially in this kind of new changes. Also between the importer and the exporter, to be sure that the other side of the border is ready, that your client or that's, I mean, it's important to make contact with them to be sure that the both sides of the border, once again, are ready for the new system. That's so right. We saw the different stakeholders. What kind of IT system they're going to use? Is it changing really or not?
Okay, actually, we wanted to show the different system, but they are the same as today. For the people listening to us today, I said earlier that I think the most useful procedure will be the transit, because it's the customs procedure which allow you to make your goods to go with to pass through different member states, although the tax and the duties are not already paid. Yep. You see. And so the transit is really what to use when you don't stop in France to declare your product for free circulation and you have a final destination in another member state. So the fact is, for the transit, the IT system is NCTS, and actually it's NCTS you will have to use. So NCTS in the British NCTS, yeah. If the transit starts in the UK, yeah. And the NCTS of the member states of final destination. It doesn't change actually. I mentioned Delta G because it exists, and it's the French system to declare for free circulation your products in France. But again, I think today we are speaking to people who won't do that. But the fact is, it's possible to declare your product for free circulation in France with Delta G. And again, ICS for safety and security formalities. But I think I know actually, we will speak about that just after. But correct. It's a very important point. And finally, IC Brexit, which is the new system, but which is a system the operators won't have to use directly. This is a system on which the smart border is based, but it's in a way it's transparent for the users, because it's just for us to make the link, to collect the information, and then to automatize and the information and the notification to preserve the fluidity.
Perfect. Yes, I think it's important really to highlight the fact that SI Brexit is not accessed directly by anybody.
Yeah.
So it's transparent for everybody. The only thing will be the logistic envelope, and it's optional. But the SI Brexit, you don't need to have any kind of authorization of anything.
No.
It's something which is, when you will cross the border, you will not even know that it exists. And that's the purpose of it, to make the thing, the fluidity the best as possible.
Yeah. And that means there is no authorization to use the smart border.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Agreed. So as you said before, maybe now we can go a bit into ICS in more
Yes.
detail.
We wanted to underline particularly the question of the ICS, because this formality is for the auditor, actually. They are the one responsible for this procedure, and so I think for a part of them, they are not very they are not dealing with the customs today.
Absolutely.
So it's very important. It's very important to insist on that. So just to summarize what is ICS? Actually, ICS means Import Control System. It's an IT system developed by the European Union, and you have an ICS in each member state.
Yep.
And it was developed for safety and security reasons. So it's a very important procedure, because it's to fight against terrorism, to fight against illicit traffic.
Yep.
So it's very important. And the fact is, when you import product into the EU, you have to submit an ENS, an entry summary declaration, before your goods arrive on the EU territory. And you have to submit that ENS in the ICS of the member state, which is the first to be touched by the product. So for the short straits, it will be France. So even if your product goes much further into the Europe, in any other member states, you will have to lodge an ENS in the French ICS. And so this declaration, the ENS, of course, there is some data to produce. There are on the screen, of course, the identity of the person which loads the ENS, some information about the good and etc. But of course, it's less details than a customs declaration. And maybe another point, in France, to lodge an ENS, you have to use a certified solution, a certified IT solution, certified by the French customs. So it's an important point, and you can see that on the screen. You have the link, the web link on which you will have all the certified solution by the French customs. So I think I said the most important thing on ICS. Of course, you will find very soon new information on our website, new sheet and a new video to explain ICS. But the fact is, it's to remind, it's mandatory, and it's before the good arrive on the French territory, on the EU territory. And for the French border, it would be better before the embarking to maintain the fluidity. Before the embarking, it's very important.
Thank you, Corinne. So once again, anticipation. It's another formality that you need to do before, because otherwise, if you're doing that too late, of course, the mean of transport, the truck, will be stopped at the border, because we'll have to wait for the ENS to be processed within our system. So once again, very important to do that in anticipation. So we saw this kind of different system. Maybe before we go to some more discussion on the case study, maybe to have a kind of an overview of the IT architecture of the whole system?
Yes, quickly. I wanted to expose that architecture because I think it gives a whole picture, and maybe it can make the things clearer. And I think the important point on this slide is to see that the operator will have to use the existing system, which are on the bottom part of the screen. And then you have IC Brexit. I think we were very clear. No need to register to use it directly about the logistic envelope. And actually, IC Brexit make the link with the ferry and the tunnel IT system. But actually, it's also, in a way, a kind of firewall. There is no data, no private data going to no commercial data, of course. So there is yes, a kind of firewall. So I think it's interesting to have that picture, but I won't. It's not necessary to take more time on it.
Okay, thank you so much, Karim. So just to summarize in a few words, I think it's important to note that first of all, the new system is based on existing system, so there will be no new system to use for you except for the logistic envelope. And once again, it's not compulsory, so it's something which is possible for you.
But it would be very, very
absolutely
useful.
And that's my second step, is that the main one, once again, I'm repeating myself a lot, it's maybe the age, but it's anticipation. So once again, it's important to anticipate, because if you're not anticipating, the crossing will take longer. So it's important to anticipate for DNS. It's important to anticipate for the customs declaration. It's important that everybody is informed. The driver knows what they have to do at the border. He's got a single barcode instead of 200, so it will speed the process for embarking him. So I think it's something which is really, really important to highlight once again. Maybe we can go into some case study to see a bit more the process.
Concretely,
yeah,
the role of the different
we have highlighted maybe two of them we will go through. It's important to notice first, I'm sorry, Karen, I just jumped in the middle, but it's only examples. So as usual, when you take an example, it's not completely the same thing as maybe your own business, because it depends a lot on your contract, the Incoterms of what we are using. It depends if you are using, once again, a customs broker or no, and it depends, of course, of the customs procedure that you may be using in your home country. Delayed procedure, 2-step, 1-step. So these are only examples, but I think it's important to look at them closely, so it gives you really how it works.
Yeah, exactly.
First case?
Yeah, thank you. For the first case, we choose, I would say, a basic example, but I think it's important to start with that. So an import from the UK into the EU of aircraft engine. And as I have already said several times, as we are probably speaking to people in all Europe and in all member states, it appeared to be smarter to recommend and to see the example of the common transit. So maybe I can let you expose what will have to be done on the British side.
Thank you, Karin.
And I will take.
So I'm talking under the, of course, my British colleagues. I hope I'm correct on what I'm saying. So the exporter, and once again, the exporter, first step, can be the exporter, yes, but it can be the seller, or it can be the customs broker. Once again, it's a generic term of exporter. So the exporter will do the customs declaration of export into the chief system, custom handling of import and export freight, and it will generate an EAD, an export accompanying document. Second step, once again, it's an example, the haulier, because of course the exporter can be also the haulier if he's got his own fleet of trucks, so if he's a customs broker and a logistic company. So the haulier, as an example, will then submit a transit declaration within the NCTS from the UK, the UK's version of the NCTS. It will generate a TAD, a transit accompanying document, and this document, which has got the MRN and a barcode, which will be given to the driver, because this document will accompany the goods for the whole travel, and it will be important at the border. In the same time, as discussed before, the important step for the haulier will be also to lodge an ENS declaration within the ICS from the French customs. And thirdly, for the case, because here we're based on the case that the ferry is going from Dover to Dunkirk, it's important to know that to cross the Kent, which is the county where Dover is, you need to have a special permit. So the hauliers will need to go online. There's a web page which will be available in the coming weeks on the UK website, which is called Check Your AGV is Ready to Cross the Border. And in this web page, you will have to complete some questions. And at the end, if you have completed all the formalities for the border, you will receive a green light, a permit to cross the Kent and to go to Dover. So you have all these documents, and then the driver will arrive at the port in Dover. He will then, of course, go through the ticketing and pay his crossing, and he will give the TAD with the code bar, the barcode, the MRN, to the ferry companies, who will then scan it and will pair it with the number plate of the lorry and the trailer. And then he will be asked some question.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's got his small brochure, so he knows.
Yeah, he knows
already.
that which question I will,
Yes.
the company agent will ask.
Yes.
And of course, the first question is, do you have a customs document with their code?
In this case, yes.
Okay, so another question. Are you using a TIR or ATA Connect?
No.
Okay. Do you transport veterinary, sanitary, or phytosanitary goods?
No.
No fish-free products?
No, not my knowledge.
Okay, that's good. It's okay for me. You can go and have a nice trip.
Thank you.
And so after that moment, the truck is allowed to embark on the ferry, and this is the moment SC Brexit will receive the notification of the ferry company that this truck is in this ferry. And so we start our risk analysis and all the treatment and etc. The important point for the transit is that at the arrival, we receive a new message to inform the system that this ferry is arrived on the port.
Yeah.
And so SC Brexit received the information and will be able to send to NCTS the notification for the passage, because it's something we have to do when there is the crossing of a border within the Common Transit Convention. And so it will be made automatically thanks to IC Brexit. And in our example, everything was okay. So the driver saw on the screen in the boat that his number plate was associated to the green color.
Yep.
And so at the disembarking, he will take the green line and then go on with his trip until his final destination in another member state in Europe. At the arrival, our last final step, again, there is role for the importer and the consignee, but the fact is, as you said, there are examples, it's generic. So at the end, there is a consignee which has to end the transit movements in the local NCTS, the NCTS of the member states on member states, and to discharge the transit form. And then, of course, at the moment, the goods have to be declared for free circulation to pay the tax and duties. And so the importer, which can be the buyer, but maybe a custom broker, will lodge a custom declaration, an import declaration in the system of the member states. So we indicated that ACD because it's the name, the common name for the customs declaration according to the UCC, the Union Customs Code. So at that moment, everything is done.
Perfect. So that was the import. Can we maybe now look at the other way around, the export to the UK?
Yeah, for this example, we thought that it would be interesting to have a case of groupage. So in our example, we have a transport of spare parts for motor vehicles. And the fact is the haulier has to take some goods in different member states. Because he has several clients, and of course he prefers to cross with his trucks totally full.
Yep.
So step one, we have 3 sellers, and probably they will be the exporters, and maybe they will ask to a professional for customs declaration. So ABC. So the fact is, each of one will have to lodge an export declaration in the export system of its own member states, in their member states. The important point is that the export declaration, of course, the regulation is the same for all member states because it's the European Union Custom Code, and the IT specification are harmonized. So that means when they will lodge their export declaration, they will produce an export accompanying document, an EAD, on which there is a barcode. After that, it's important the haulier which collects the goods, who collects the goods, in the different member states. It's important for him to get the different EAD and to give him to the driver. Of course, at that point, it would be very useful for him, and we strongly recommend to group this EAD in the logistic envelope and to give the driver only one barcode of the logistic envelopes. The driver arrive at the port, give the emirate of the, I think there is a little mistake, I'm sorry. It's not a TAD in our example, but we'll correct that before to send the slide. So he will give the MRN of the envelope, or if he didn't use the envelope, of the EAD. And he will answer the different question. He will be asked by the Eurotunnel agent. And at that moment, IC Brexit will receive this information, plate number, the answers of the question, the MRN. And so we'll make a risk analysis again in that situation. And then when IC Brexit will receive the information from Eurotunnel that this truck is in this shuttle and this shuttle has left the EU territory, okay, IC Brexit will send a message, an IT message to the European system ECS to discharge the customs procedure for the following of the exit of the good. So at that moment, from the EU point of view, that's done. The goods have left, and the ECS procedure is clear.
Perfect. So the truck now is arriving in the UK. So what is going on? As you may know already, the UK have decided to have a staged approach of the reestablishment of the border. So from the 1st of January at import, there will be no formal customs declaration to be lodged. From the 1st of January to the 1st of July, there will be no need of making any import control system notice, an ENS. You don't need to lodge an ENS when you are in the UK before the 1st of July. And more essentially, you don't need to lodge a declaration if you are using standard goods, which is the case, which is spare parts of motor vehicles. So in this case, the truck will be able to cross the border with only the EORI number of the importer, the GB EORI numbers. It's not the EU EORI numbers, so be careful. We're using the same terms, but they are different stuff. So this is the EORI which is given by the UK administration. So it's the GB Great Britain EORI numbers. And then he will proceed directly to the importer, once again, global world. And it's the importer will have to trace, in fact, the flow of the good, this operation, within its own records. So he will note in his own record the details of this importation. That's for the 1st of January. Coming the 1st of July, because I will spare you the kind of in-between steps, which are more for SPS control. 1st of July is the full reestablishment of the border in the UK at export and import. So 1st of July, you will need to lodge an ENS for the UK ICS, and you will need to lodge also a customs declaration, and there will be customs formalities and customs control at the border. Just to finish on that, because this is more UK stuff, and I'm sorry for my colleagues, I'm doing something which are not so precise for my British colleagues. There will be a new system called the Goods Vehicle Movement Service, GVMS, which will be used at 1st of July, import and export. GVMS is more or less, once again, sorry, but similar to the SI Brexit. So I will not say copy and paste, but it's similar to the SI Brexit. So GVMS will be used, once again, to add fluidity at the crossing. It will need anticipation, same thing. I'm just talking about it right now because from the 1st of January, it will be used for transit. So for the 1st of January, GVMS will be used only for transit at import, at the entry in the UK. It will be just like SI Brexit. It will help to make an office of passage, an office of transit, without making any stop because it will be done electronically by the system. That's it from my side.
Yes.
So yes, we can maybe, it's 31 already, so we're late already.
Yeah.
We can maybe take 1 or 2 questions before we wrap up, maybe.
Yes, I think we can take maybe one question, and then of course we will collect all the questions posed on the chat and published, answered, or indicate where to find the answer. Perfect. Of course.
Okay, so one of the questions that we saw earlier, because we talked a lot about this SI Brexit, is it working? Is it tested?
Yes, I can understand that people ask that question, but of course we tested it. We first tested the IT part, the IC Brexit, the exchange with the ferry company and the tunnel company, of course. And then we did some real tests, on-site test with a real truck and a lot of partner stakeholders, customs brokers, exporter, importers, a lot of people who agreed to participate to those tests. Actually, we did that 3 times, twice in 2019. And that year in October. And I can say it's okay, the IT system works, the infrastructures are ready, the green line and the orange line and everything, the indications are there. So for us, that's okay, we're ready for the end of the year. Because maybe it's a thing we can, just to finish, repeat again how General Directorate said it at the beginning, but the fact is we know that at the end of the year, for the 1st of January 2021, the customs formalities will be re-established between the UK and the EU, whatever.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. It's important to notice that because we're still negotiation right now. Today it may be a crucial day for it, but it can stay again. Yeah, anyway. But whatever happened with the discussion on the deal, a commercial deal, 1st of January, one thing is sure is that the UK is leaving the customs union and is leaving the single market. So the border will be reestablished. The formalities will be there, whatever there is a deal or no. So please get ready and be prepared because that will be the case, whatever happened with the discussion. Just because we are maybe running a bit out of time, we said already that you can find all this brochure on the website. There is also a guide which has been translated in English, and you can find on it a lot of more technical stuff because, I mean, we discussed some few examples. which are generally quant, but you can find much more details on some type of good which are more complicated because you'll need some documents and things like that. So do not hesitate. There's also a lot of videos. You can find, again, Caroline explaining you, and it's subtitled in English, the kind of the six main questions that you have to ask yourself about the Brexit. And there's also a lot of tutorial for the drivers and everybody.
Yeah.
So I think we can
close.
Yes.
Yes. We said everything.
Yes, and once again, we will take all the questions and it will be answered. So
yeah, of course.
thank you so much.
Yes, thanks to everyone.